Alrighty, this is the Chapter 6 mid-chapter study guide and review. We're going to start out with questions from Section 1 of Chapter 6. Go ahead and try and solve these questions. Press play when you think you have the answer. Okay, so for the first one, we want to find the sum of the measures of the interior angles of a convex heptagon, and we have an equation that's going to help us do that. That is this: the sum of the interior angles is going to equal 180 times the number of angles minus 2. Now, in this case, we're dealing with a heptagon, and you have to know what these names mean. Heptagon, seven-sided figure, so we have 180 times 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2 is 5, so we have 180 times 5, and that is going to be 900. So what that means, if you have a convex heptagon, all of the interior angles are going to add up to 900 degrees, no matter what they are individually. Now, this one right here, we have a four-sided figure. We want to know the measure of each one of these angles. So let's just call this A, B, C, and D to make it easier to explain. Now, since it's a four-sided figure, we're going to use the same equation. We're going to have S equals 180 times N minus 2. In this case, the number of sides is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2, so we have 180 times 2. And 180 times 2 is going to equal 360. So we know that all of these have to add up to 360 degrees. So what we're going to do, just like when we were trying to find the missing angle in a triangle, and we would say 180 equals and put the three angles, we're going to use this 360 number, and we're going to have these four. Now keep in mind, this is not always 360. That's just what it worked out to since it was a four-sided figure. Five-sided figure would be different, six-sided, and so forth. You have to pop it in the equation, figure out what it is. So we have 360 degrees has to equal angle A, which is 3x, plus angle B, remember that means 90 degrees, plus angle C, which is 90 degrees, plus angle D, which is x degrees. Now, 3x's and an x, that's 4x's, and 90 and 90 is 180. And what I'm doing here is I am just combining like terms to simplify. I'm going to subtract 180 from both sides. I end up with 180 equals 4x. And then if I divide both sides by 4, 180 divided by 4 is going to be 45 degrees. So x equals 45 degrees. Sorry about running out of room here towards the bottom. Now, I'm still not done yet. I actually have to plug this 45 in for x to figure out what the measure of all these angles are. Now, B and C, obviously they're 90 degrees, so I can just go ahead and write that in right there. Now, here this is just x. So that one's going to be easy, 45 degrees. And here I have 3x, so I'm going to multiply 3 times 45, which means that the measure of angle A is going to be 135 degrees. Hopefully you did well on that. Okay, so next up, I want you to figure out what each one of the exterior angles is for this figure right here. Press play when you're ready. Okay, so hopefully you remembered that the exterior angles always add up to 360 degrees every single time. So we've got 360 equals 139 from this first one, plus 6x's from here, plus 9x's, plus 2x's. When we simplify this by combining like terms, we get 139 plus 6x and 9x, that's 15, plus 2 more, that's 17 x's. Now I'm going to take away 139 from both sides. When I do that, I get 221 here. On this side, I have 17 x's. Divide both sides by that coefficient, by the 17, and 17 goes in here 13 times. So I have 13 equaling x. Now, if I want to figure out what each and every single one of these sides are, here it would be 2 times 13, which would be 26. Right here, I would have 6 times 13, and 6 times 13 would be 78. And here, I would have 9 times 13, and 9 times 13, 117. And if you want to check this, if you add up all of these, it should add up to 360. And here's one last question to work on from this section. If the sum of the measures of the interior angles of a regular polygon is 720, how many sides does it have? Try and answer this. Press play when you're ready. Okay, so the equation we have is that the sum of all of the sides equals 180, or the sum of all the angles, equals 180 times n minus 2. Well, in this case, we're actually told that the sum is 720. So we have 720 equals 180 times n minus 2. And we divide 180 on both sides. It would cancel here, leaving n minus 2. On this side, 720 divided by 180 is going to equal 4. Now I add 2 to both sides, and I end up with n equals 6. And that means that a six-sided figure, regular polygon, has interior angles that add up to 720 degrees. If you understand all of that, you should be pretty well set for Chapter 6, Section 1. Check out the next section.